So thank you so much for joining me. Eugene, you've built this amazing gym here. I feel like there's a real brotherhood here, which is something that maybe some other gyms don't have, like that closeness. What I wanted to talk about today more is a little bit of stuff that's going on outside. So the Walk Without Fear Trust and where that's come from and how that started. So I wanted to ask you, why do you think this culture of violence exists? Where do you think it came from? And do you think that's something exclusive to New Zealand or?
Yeah. Yeah. I think every country has a kind of culture of violence that underpins a normal
Yeah.
society, and I don't think it's exclusive to us, but I think each country has it's kind of unique to that country. I think there's certain traits and characteristics that it has. In New Zealand, we're a very lucky country. We don't have a lot of gun crime and a lot of knife crime because it's
Okay.
very hard to get those things.
Yeah.
So we do have a bit of a culture of settling things by duking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what that leads to is incidences like the one that I'm advocating against, which is what they call the coward punch,
Yeah.
which is basically what they call like a blindsided punch when you're hit from behind, but not just when you're hit from behind. Sometimes you're hit in front, but it's out of surprise. You
Yeah.
just don't know the person's going to attack you. That culture and that crime exists all over the world, unfortunately, and it's very, very prevalent in this country. And it's just that we are a little bit braggadocious, like we've got a big bravado. Our young people want to prove themselves, sometimes through physical means. And yeah, it's just a bad part of society that I'm really advocating against, particularly the coward punch. So
Yeah.
it's the problem with the coward punch in New Zealand is it's not widely reported. We only see the very tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Because if you get assaulted and you survive, or you just fall down and get up and you're unconscious for a split second, what most people do is they dust off and go home and
Yeah.
lick their wounds. But that, of course, leaves the problem that now there's no statistics on how much that goes on.
Yeah, for sure.
So what my organisation has been able to find out is that it's going on every day, every weekend, every week, up and down the country, from the top of the island to the bottom of the island, which is concerning because no one actually knows that. Yeah.
So what kind of person do you think commits a coward punch? And if you met one of those people, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. To be honest, like it's all sorts of people. Yeah, it's all sorts of people. There is a key demographic that it's kind of like falls in between, and that's between the ages of kind of 16 and 25. But there's older perpetrators and there's younger perpetrators as well. I think there's some commonalities, like quite often it's in a social setting, and quite often there's alcohol involved or some sort of substance involved. Quite often it's in groups. But ultimately it's a lack of self-control, and it's a lack of influential people around you at that particular time, or people that are willing to step up when they see warning signs and say something
Stop it, yeah.
and stop it. So my advice to the perpetrators would be make sure that you surround yourself with good people that are going to look after you and let you know when you're wrong, also let you know when you're right. Just good, wholesome people that have got your best interests at heart. And always remember that it only takes one bad decision in this lifetime to completely ruin it. And you will be living a life of regret because you've done something that is not even something that particularly is a part of you, but you've just let your emotions take control of it.
You can never forget what's happened, yeah.
100%. So, yeah, that would be my advice. And my other advice to people that aren't perpetrators, but they happen to be in the vicinity or around people that are acting up and look like there might be an incident, is to just step up. And sometimes you have to be brave, and that can be difficult in a social setting. But just know that your bravery could be doing something like saving a life.
Yeah. And I guess two lives in that way, of the perpetrator and the victim as well.
Well, in that respect, there's so much heartache that goes into it. There's the perpetrator that's getting punished and all their family and friends, and plus the victim.
Yeah, it's
And
a lot
you'll
bigger
just
than
say, yeah, the circle just goes and expands out. And through your act of bravery, you can make a big difference to so many
Yeah,
lives.
I guess
yeah.
it is very life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I wanted to talk about as well is obviously this movement started because you lost what you consider a brother, someone very special to you. Faux Vare, that was his name. I wanted to know a little bit about him, who he was, what he meant to you, what he meant to the gym. I know that his brothers still train here. And kind of a little bit about who he was, the life that he led, what happened, and also how you've managed to deal with that loss, but also being able to be that supporter for, the guys at the gym and his family, grieving yourself, but being a support system for them.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's a very good question again. So Foal was, I mean, how do I describe Foal? Like, no one deserves to die, obviously, but I guess what people can relate to is sometimes you hear about someone passing away and you think to yourself, man, that was just the most undeserving person for that to ever happen to.
Yeah.
And Foal fits that description perfectly. He was such a kind, quiet, humble, hardworking person. He was also the type of person that would never harm an ant,
Yeah.
never harm us, like never hurt that hair on another person's head, which I know is a bit of a juxtaposition because he's a fighter, but that's a sport. It's completely different. He was also a father to a young girl, and that was everything to him.
Yeah.
Being a good father and being there for his daughter and providing for his daughter was everything to him. And so he literally was one of those people that when this happened to him, he's like, man,
Why him?
would you take someone like that from this world? It just kind of defies belief. And not only that, but he was also a super talent. He was probably earmarked, in my opinion, based on what I saw over the many years that I trained him. I would say that there was a high likelihood that he would probably get to the upper echelons of the sport. Now, there's a lot that has to happen before a fighter gets to the UFC, but I believe he could have gone to the UFC. He definitely had the skills,
Yeah.
but then obviously all the other stuff has to line up and you have to get your opportunity and all of that stuff. But he was a very super talented athlete as well. They could have gone all the way to the top and probably been at the UFC quite easily. So he was, a massive loss to the team, and it hit us very hard. It hit me very hard. I'm lucky. I have 4 kids of myself, and I have a wonderful wife. My wife is like my rock. Like I met my wife when I was 15. My wife was my first girlfriend.
I love that.
And my last girlfriend. So we've been together forever, and she knows everything about me.
Yeah.
She knows when I need to be picked up and propped up, and she knows when I'm suffering. And I'm definitely not the type of person that's going to go out of my way to tell her any of these things.
Yeah, that's a very male trait.
Yeah. And I need someone that just knows. And so I'm very lucky to have her, because I probably would never say when I'm suffering or when I'm emotional. That's just not the way that I do things.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky to have someone like that that just knows, and she was able to help me and pick me up and just talk me through it. And the other side of it is I needed to be strong because I had a whole lot of young men here suffering badly, to an extent that I've never seen.
Yeah.
I've never been around that sort of
Devastation.
suffering, devastation, emotion. I've just never been around it. I've never seen that. And so that was another overwhelming part for me. It's like, how do I deal with all these young men that are grieving and that are angry and that are emotional? And
When you're probably feeling all the same
I'm
things.
feeling exactly the same things. That's the difficult thing. But I got through it. I got through it with my family, and I pulled myself together. And I think as a team, we rallied together.
Yeah.
And 100%, this team would not be what it is today without that tragedy. That tragedy,
What you
if
closer
there's anything
together.
positive out of it, it brought us closer together. It let us kind of look into all the team members' souls a little bit, because when stuff like that happens, you have to kind of bare your soul a little bit.
Yeah.
So we got to see a side of everybody that we didn't know, and we're definitely a closer team, and we helped each other through it. We pulled each other through it. Everybody had their ups and downs, and I think we came together as a team.
Yeah.
Kind of formed a kind of unofficial kind of support network. There's nothing said about that, but it was just assumed.
Yeah.
That you just support each other and look after each other. And I mean, we got through it. Like we got through the hard part. It's the type of thing that you never ever.
You never think you'll have to deal with something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And it's the type of thing you're never going to forget. Like there's always going to be constant reminders of that tragedy. But we're over the hump, you know.
And you're
Over the
building
hump.
something really important that's going to help a lot of people not go through that.
So one of the things that was born out of that tragedy is about 6 to 8 months after it happened, I got all the boys together, and at that time we had done a lot of media and we brought a lot of attention
Yeah.
to
To the incident
to the
itself,
crime.
yeah.
And I got all the boys together and I said, look, we can really, we're faced now with the option of doing two things. We can just leave it and just keep on doing the grieving process, or we can take this and we can do something with it, because we've built some real momentum over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And no one is really championing this cause the way that we could,
Yeah.
and no one really knows the extent and how prevalent this problem is. Because at that time, when we were going in the media and talking about it, we were talking about the lenient sentencing that was going
Yeah.
on, people just started to reach out to us, like through social media and email and you name it. And it was, we were inundated with people talking about their incidents when they had been coward punched and what had happened as a result of it,
Yeah.
the tragedy, the effect on the family, the effect on their working life. And that was the overwhelming part. That is what kind of forced me to come to all those boys 6 months later and be like, oh, this is what's going on, lads. Like,
Yeah.
this tragedy that fell on us is happening every single day in this country, up and down the country. And we had no idea, and they had no idea, and the general public don't have any idea, because like I said, for people to know about it, it has to be reported.
Yeah.
Most people don't report it. They just survive it, dust themselves off and go home, ice, and you know. And so in that moment, that's when we decided to form the Walk Without Fear Trust and try and do something about it for
Yeah.
our little country down here at the bottom of the
Yeah,
world.
for sure. Amazing. So, if you had a magic wand and you could change one law or one system in New Zealand instantly, what would you change and why do you think it hasn't already happened?
This is a great time to talk about this because it is literally happening
Okay.
as we speak. Now, I'm not going to start claiming that we've had a big part in it, because I don't know if we have or not, or it's coincidence. I like to think that we had a big
Yeah.
part in it. But there's the coward punch causing injury or death amendment bill,
Okay, yeah.
which is being read in Parliament anytime very soon. So that's an amendment to what they call the Crimes Act. And what that's going to do is, for the first time in New Zealand history, they are going to pull out that law, that crime of a coward punch, and they're going to give it its own set of legislation. So previously it comes under grievous bodily harm or assault.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a coward punch. But now they're going to single it out,
Okay.
give it its own legislation, give it its own set of sentencing, minimum sentencing, maximum sentencing. And mate, that's exactly what we want. We want this to be treated as an actual crime,
Yeah.
not as a general assault. This is a very specific crime, and it needs its own set of legislation, it needs its own laws, it needs its own sentencing, it needs tougher sentencing.
Yeah.
And so the politicians are going to be read that bill, and then they're all going to vote on it, basically.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully
so-
choose the right choice.
And hopefully
Yeah.
they choose for it to become a part of law, because it can go two ways. Either it's going to get thrown out, or it's going to become a part of New Zealand law.
And that'll change all of New Zealand, obviously.
And it changes the
From
law
here.
up and down New Zealand, and it changes the way that people get punished for that crime. But I think the main thing it does, it makes people realise, oh, there's a crime called the coward punch, and this is what it is specifically.
Yeah.
It's not just an assault. And that kind of elevates it to a new status, right? Now people have this term, the coward punch, and it's got its own laws around it. And so now people are going to be much more aware of it. Plus with people like Israel, Carlos and Kai and Dan and all these people advocating for
Yeah.
it.
And I guess it's good to differentiate as well. Even calling it something like the coward punch, hopefully that stops people thinking, being like, I don't want to be a coward. You don't want to encourage people to have a fight not being a coward, but at least
Exactly.
think about the terms that we're using.
And that's what it does when it gets singled out by, by
Exactly.
Parliament as its own law with its own specific set of legislation. So fingers crossed, we're obviously pushing for that.
Yeah.
But if that goes through, that's going to be like a small victory for us.
I feel like that's a big victory.
A big,
yeah.
well, yeah, I would say a big victory. There's still the other big part of it is law change, but the other big part of it is just awareness and education. Like people just need to know that this crime is out there, and they need we need to get into the hearts and minds of the people, and we just have to start looking at that as I feel like if society starts looking at it as a very lowly scoundrel kind of act, I think that's going to do a lot to deter people from doing it.
Because that's an ego thing for people as well, and maybe they think in their head at the time, like, oh, let me go do this. They're going to think twice a little bit if they think, oh, that makes me a coward.
100%. We already have crimes that we know about that are looked down very badly by society, and because they're looked down so badly by society, it helps prevent them from happening. And so we need to put the coward punching in the same light as some of those crimes. So that's the other side of what we're trying to do.
That's really amazing that you're doing that and using your voice to do that. One thing I heard, and maybe this isn't true, is that you dropped out of law school or you were studying law at some point.
Yeah.
How different do you think your life would be if you stayed doing that and never done any of this?
Yeah. Completely different. Completely different. I have been blessed to live the life that I've been living the last 10, 20 years since I made the choice to stop studying law and get into fighting and training people. But having been billed and invoiced by lawyers many times in my adult life, it would have been very useful.
Yeah.
And would have saved me a lot of money to be a lawyer as well.
But I guess
Maybe I should have tried to do both, but it is what it is.
Do you think you could have done both?
No way.
Yeah. I mean, I guess your role here as well, there's probably a lot more to it than just a coach,
Yeah.
I guess we have a lot of mutual friends bouncing about, and I've always heard amazing things or people telling me, like, I owe a lot to this man, So, I felt it's a real privilege to be here.
Thank you.
People call you the mad genius. What is something that you came up with that maybe might be considered genius that maybe people didn't agree with at the time? Is there anything people have been resistant to that you put into training that people don't want to do or they don't understand?
That's a really difficult question to answer. I guess the volume of training that I think you need to do to reach the top is sometimes controversial.
Okay.
And the ratio of which I teach that training or schedule that training is sometimes controversial.
Okay.
I like to push the volume, so I like guys to be training all the time
Okay.
and doing big amounts of volume, which is controversial because you can wear fighters out.
But when you get results, I guess you can back it up.
100%. But I just like to walk the line, I guess. And in terms of ratios, what we're known for is our striking ability. But we wrestle, as far as I'm aware, from talking to all my friends that own gyms around the world, all the other high-level coaches, we wrestle far more than any of those gyms.
Okay.
And we obviously do that because we want to emphasize our specific skill set. We want the ability to be able to impose our skill set, and to do that we have to be able to dictate where the fight ends up. And so I guess those are two things off the top of my head. But the mad genius thing is just I definitely don't consider myself a genius.
So you consider yourself mad?
Mad, I do.
Okay.
But the smartest thing I've ever done in my life is, and I forget who gave me this advice, I forget if it was the internet or another human being, but it resonated with me. And it was something along the lines of, sometimes the most intelligent person in the room is the one that realizes that he's not the most intelligent.
So you can always learn.
That I could always learn, and I can always surround myself with people that I think are smart. And I think I've understood that better than a lot of coaches. And I've gone out there and I've tried to find people that I consider smarter than myself. And through doing that, obviously make myself smarter. So I've never considered myself the smartest person in the room by a long shot. But I've always considered myself very good at surrounding myself with key people that I feel I could learn off and that could make a contribution, and we could make a contribution to each other in terms of intellectual property and knowledge. So I've kind of done that well, I think. I've got some very, very smart people around me.
That's good.
Much smarter than me, I think. And I think that is part of the key as to why I found any success. Yeah.
Who would you say is the most influential to you right now? Or maybe over time? Who do you think you've learned the most from?
Yeah. So my original trainer was a very smart man, and he shaped the way that I look at the sport. He shaped the way that I view the sport. So I owe a lot to him, and he was the way that he looked at fight sports was very intellectual. Like he broke everything down, to the last minute detail, and that carried over to me. In recent times, a mutual friend of ours, Frank Hickman, has been very influential on my style of coaching and what I coach and the way I coach. And that and a lot of that is due to his unique background. He comes from folk style wrestling background, which is an American style wrestling.
With those tidy little outfits.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a very specific type of wrestling that only really exists in one country in the world, and that's America.
Yeah.
That folk style type of wrestling. And I think that style of wrestling is just the best for MMA, and there's so much to learn from those guys.
Yeah.
And I think most people know this, but I still think it's a very untapped resource. And so over the last, I would say, 3 to 5 years, he has been like one of the most valuable places that I've pulled knowledge from. And been very influential.
He'll love to hear that.
I don't like to boost his. He has a big ego already, as you probably
maybe
already
shoot him
know.
down a little bit as well. Give him something. I can clip it out and cut out the good stuff he said.
He's got all his other traits, like he eats too much lollies and sweets. He stays up too late at night. Parties too hard. Doesn't do enough work. There's all of that stuff that we can talk about.
When I first met Frank, I think he didn't get my sense of humor, being British and being sarcastic. So sometimes, I feel like my friends get used to it and you banter with each other, but he'd just be like, "Oh yeah, you're being rude," and I was like, "What?" And I used to joke with people and say, "He's got no chat, he's got no banter," but eventually we got there in the end.
He got around the Kiwis and the Aussies more and more over the years.
Yeah,
and
so
he developed a bit of banter,
a sense of humour.
Absolutely.
I mean, both of them, George and Frank, they've done better. But.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been around us long enough to start to kind of understand our humour, and I think Aussie and Kiwi humour is more akin to English humour than it is to American
I
humour.
go down better in places like this than when I was in China trying to have banter there. They were just like, I'm confused. It didn't really work as well.
Absolutely.
So actually bringing up Frank, so I run women's retreats called Combat Collective. We bring women out to Thailand, to Bangtao and train them. Something that's what's born out of that. A lot of the women that come because they've gone through something, they want to learn how to fight. In terms of women training, what do you think the best way for someone to start is? What do you think the best skill to learn is? And how important do you think it is for women to know how to at least defend themselves in some sort of way?
Oh, tremendously important and tremendously empowering. For a woman to just have the basic knowledge of how to throw some basic punches, how to get up from the ground if someone's on top of them, is like massively empowering. Just to have that knowledge, it just makes them feel, and it's obviously not something that you think about, but it just kind of sits there in the background, and it just gives you a level of confidence. When if something happened, you might be able to handle yourself. The difficulty is that this sport and all these gyms around the world are hugely male dominated, and so what typically happens is you get a few women in there, but they become the very, very brave woman that have come, and so it's a very select group
scary.
of women.
Even me walking in here, I'm like, this is amazing, but would I be scared to try a class on the mats? Like, how would you find it here at City Kickboxing if a woman wanted to come and try a class? Would you encourage that, or is it more people that train already? Or
no, absolutely. And so the very brave women come, but they're the ones that are brave. We need to get the women that aren't quite that brave. Those are the ones we need to pull through and get through the door. But what really helps is if you can get a core group of women together, man, other women really gravitate towards that. If they can see other women doing it, then they immediately start to think this is a safe environment, these girls are having fun, this is something that they really want to get into. So there's one thing now. I've got a small group of girls that fight, but I've got a much bigger group of women that come here and just train and do fitness and learn self-defense and just get fit and stuff. And that's really cool, because what's happened is that group started off small and it's just added to it, and now it's quite a big group of women.
I love that.
there's now some power in numbers for women, I think. So
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do with our retreats as well.
Absolutely.
Most people come on their own,
Yeah.
and I always find it, because I talk to a lot of the girls before they come, and most people are scared about coming on their own, or they feel like they need to get a friend to come.
Yeah.
And when they come, they realize, wait a second, we're here with 30 women that are all into martial arts, which is kind of rare. And we were talking before we started this about this weekend that I'm going to an event, and I was like, I'm into MMA. My friends don't really understand it that much. So when I come and I finish sparring and I've got a black eye, and I'm like, I had a really good time. And my friends that don't train are like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, why would you be going to do that? But like,
Absolutely.
for me, being a woman in martial arts, trying to understand a bit more about it, what would you say to someone who is looking to try it? Where do you think that, like, what do you think they should start with? Like a boxing class, a Muay Thai class, a jiu-jitsu class, or if someone wanted to dip their toe in, where would you recommend starting?
Yeah, so your initiative that you're going sounds really, really cool. And it sounds like a good starting place for
So tell them to start on our retreats.
Yeah, start on the retreats for sure. But I mean, the truth of the matter, and you'll be able to attest to this, is that although these gyms might be male dominated and stuff, they are some of the best and safest and most humbling environments to be in.
Sure.
The problem is just getting that across from the outside looking in. But as you know, when you go to these gyms, they are full of wonderful people. So the best people that I've ever met are in this industry. And that's because going through a bit of adversity every day, trying to be a fighter, trying to learn martial arts, is a humbling experience.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it breeds good human beings, right?
I guess the discipline in it as well leaks into other aspects of life.
100%. So I would say to those women that, to just dip your toe in, just show a little bit of bravery from the start, and you will be so surprised.
Yeah.
Just like every other woman that I've had come in this gym and stay for long periods of time, they all started off very timid. But once they got the one foot through the door, they realized, wow, this is a wonderful, wholesome environment. And I think it's just that initial step is the difficult one.
What would you say to the guys training in here, and how to make women feel comfortable coming here? 'Cause you're obviously the big boss, you know. So
Yeah.
But how do you keep the fighters, the guys in check when women come here?
Yeah, I mean, for a start, just be friendly. Yeah, you just got to be friendly, and you've just got to be a gentleman. I think, like, I run a pretty tight ship, so there's not allowed to be any, like, chauvinistic behavior and stuff. Like, we've got to be respectful. But we have to be respectful to each other regardless of you're a woman or the man. So show the woman the same respect that you would show the men. There's a couple of little old school rules that I have, like you're not allowed your shirt off.
Okay, yeah.
At my gym, I know that's not going to be possible at Bangtao because you're training in the heat or something.
It is possible. It's just that, you know.
So,
actually, no. I take that back. You have to wear a shirt in class.
Okay.
I've seen Frank telling people off about
well,
it.
there you go. I think for established women, I think that's not an issue. But for new women coming in, the last thing they want to see is 20 guys on a mat with shirts on. That's not going to encourage a new woman to jump on the mat and train. So just there's little things like that. Some people would call that like a little bit of an old school trait of mine, but
it's your place, your rules, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But the main thing is, I think, just treat the woman as you would treat your own friend who's your male counterpart. Yeah. And I think that if you do that, I think the woman respect that. Yeah.
How is it for a new guy walking in here? Someone told me the other day that every time a man meets a new man, he's sizing them up to see if he could beat them in a fight. That's your initial thought. Would you say that's true? Or?
I mean, there's a part of that that's true. And there's a part of that that's just in our nature. And But aside from that, it's a very small little nuance that goes on. I think it's a very friendly one. I think that one thing that I try to make very clear here is that we all started in the same place. So even if you're an established young fighter or an older fighter here, once upon a time you were that new person that walked in. And you've just got to remember back to that time. And sometimes that can be a stressful and intimidating environment to be in. And I think for the most part, we've got a pretty good group of senior guys that like to bring those guys through, relatively nicely. So,
who do you think here needs the most discipline?
Like a group? Which group? Which demographic? Males, females?
Either. You can single someone out if you want, or you can...
So, my fighters that are in their mid-30s, they need the most discipline.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
The mid-30s is a funny place to be in the fight sports. It's a sport, it's a place where you're walking on the edge. where if you don't keep yourself in top physical form, you can easily fall
Yeah.
off. When you're 25, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
You can fall a little bit out of shape and pick yourself up straight away. But there's one opponent we can never beat, and that's Father Time. And so when you're 35, you have to have far more discipline than when you're 25. And that's very, very difficult because you've been in the sport a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of athletes, as they get into their mid-30s, they start to lose their discipline. So it's my athletes that are in their, approaching their mid-30s, they need to have the most discipline. And I, funnily enough, have a lot of them at the moment.
Okay.
Israeli Sanya Dan Hooker, Kai Kara France, Carlos Olberg.
Yeah.
They're all becoming
They're all
kind
at
of,
that
they're not the
stage.
young guys that started like 8 years ago with me.
Yeah.
They're the older boys now, and they need to be super disciplined in this later stage of their life. Yeah.
What about in terms of recovery? Because obviously there's not a lot of studies in long-term effects of fighting. How do you encourage them, or how would you suggest they take care of their bodies outside fighting?
Now, I mean, from my previous experience being a fighter stuff and also fighting in my mid-30s, you just have to put a far greater emphasis on resting and recovery than you did when you were in your early 20s. Excuse me. I think there's pretty good anecdotal evidence that has to be done. Like, they can talk to any fighter, like ex-fighter, older fighter, and they all tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that they can get through the training. They can still get through the tough training. It's what their body goes through after the training.
Yeah.
Trying to recover and get better. And so the effort has to just be put into the rest. And also all the modern things that we use to recover quicker and more efficiently nowadays that never used to happen, never used to exist. Like
I guess they've got lots of new technology.
Oh, 100%.
Peptides.
You have to use all that stuff, all the supplements.
I'm learning about it more. I meet people. I'm like, what's this you're doing? Like, you know.
Yeah. So be reliant on some of those, because those were things that was technology that we never had previously.
Yeah, so they've got a bit of a helping hand nowadays to see what to do. Do you ever think that you pushed anyone too far, physically, mentally?
100% I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% I did.
Did you feel bad, or did you just?
Yes, and sometimes I didn't realize at the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't until years later that I realized, and sometimes it was in the moment. But although I felt bad, I'm also unapologetic.
Yeah.
Because
It's part of the process.
it's part of the process, and it's, if you want to succeed at the very top end of whatever you're doing, whatever industry you're in, including MMA, you have to push the limits of everything. And unfortunately, that's going to sometimes mean that you go push the limits too far.
Yeah.
And that's just high-level sport all over the world. It's an experience that you're going to come across, whether it be rugby, baseball, American football. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes and push people too hard. But that's high-level sport. That's part of the game. And so, although I feel bad, I'm a little bit unapologetic about that.
Okay. I mean, it's a good way to be, you know, no regrets.
Sure.
So I did a few videos recently on the psychology of losing and how actually it can be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Is there any loss that you really learned something from, more than just the fighter losing, or is there anything that you've really learned from, you know, the wins are obviously great highs, but the losses in sport? Is there anything that really taught you something, or one particular loss that you were like, okay, things need to change a little bit after that?
Yes. But what jumps out to me, and this is probably not the exact answer you're looking for, but the losses that stand out to me is when we lose friends here at the gym.
Absolutely.
And there's been a few of them, unfortunately, not just Faux.
Yeah.
What they do when you suffer a loss like that is they make you realize, and they make every member of this team realize, is that what we're doing is very, very special. And I'm not talking about Israel, who's just being able to experience this life. And
the community,
fight. The community, you get to experience a fight. It's so easy to take that for granted, but then you lose someone that can no longer do the thing that they love, and then it makes you realize, oh man, we're in such a special position.
You're very lucky to be able to do it.
We're very lucky to be able to do it. We're here now, we're breathing, we're able to touch ground, touch grass.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go for it. Let's go for it, because I guarantee that person that's no longer with us, they'll trade places with you within a second.
Yeah.
So what it forces you to do is just respect the sport and give it your all. And that's what those losses do for us. Let me elaborate a little bit back to something closer to what you're talking about.
No, that's okay. I'm here for all the answers. Yeah.
But no, 100%. I've made, I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't make 1,000 mistakes. So, we made a mistake against Sean Strickland. That's right, it's only Sean Strickland we made a mistake. We made a mistake against Alex Pereira, the fight before Israel won.
Yeah.
Any loss, the reason you lose is because you've made mistakes. But it's not about, it's like being humble enough to admit that you've made mistakes.
And be able to grow from it.
And not just saying, oh, that fighter made a mistake.
I guess as a team, that's important. When you say we made a mistake, it's nice that you
I
can just
always
be
say
like,
we made a mistake.
Yeah.
I will never say that Israel made a mistake or Dan made a mistake.
Yeah.
I will never say that.
even if they weren't listening to you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They weren't listening to me because I wasn't able to get them to listen to me. Like, you have to take ownership of it as a team, and that's the best way forward. So, do you want specific mistakes or?
If you want, it's up to you.
Alex Pereira.
Okay.
We started that game. We started that camp with a 50-50 game plan. We were going to stand and we were going to wrestle. Israel obviously had been wrestling for many, many years at that stage. And we thought, okay, this is the time that we could use some of his wrestling that he's been using all those years and instill it in the actual game plan. Instead of just the defensive wrestling, which we were always doing, right? Some offensive wrestling. And then what really quickly became apparent to me was that when you wrestle for years and years and years and years, you hone and build a very specific energy system.
Yeah.
And if you're not a person that hasn't wrestled for years and years and years and years, you just don't have that ability to impose sustained amounts of wrestling and isometric contraction, lifts and holds and breakdowns. And so I went to the team and I asked them to remove that from the game plan. And I went to Izzy and asked them to remove that aspect from the game plan. And we as a team decided not to. And I'm not here to say I told you so, because
It never feels good saying I told you so anyway.
No, but what the team decides is what we go with. So once the team decided I got 100% on top of it, I just wanted to put it out there. So I got 100% on board, and we decided, okay, let's forge ahead with this thing. Now, obviously, hindsight is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? But you can see that round that Israel had great success with Alex Pereira. Virtually controlled him for the whole round, right?
Yeah.
But what sort of attacks did that take on Israel in terms of the overall fight? Well, by the time the last round was on board, and the effect of that round had taken it. He wasn't sharp, he wasn't moving, his feet weren't working, his reactions weren't working the way it was, and then he got caught by Alex Pereira on the fence. Well, I put that down to the 2 or 3 rounds before that, when he went through that heavy wrestling round, and that took that toll on the energy system. That's what I put that down to. So, to me, that's a mistake. We made an error in judgment, we made a mistake. So, we fixed it.
Yeah, you fixed it, exactly, yeah. So, last few things. Is there something that people never ask you that they wish they asked you more about? Because obviously you've done a lot of interviews and you probably get the same sort of question. I was trying to avoid them today, being like, who's next for Vogue? Who's next for those kind of things? I wanted to talk about something outside. But is there something that people just never ask you about that you're dying to tell people?
I guess people don't often ask about what I do outside of this, I guess. They just assume I do this all the time. And
Yeah,
to be
you
honest,
have a life outside
to be
this.
honest, for the most part, I do. This is all I do. So.
I heard that sometimes you disappear off into the woods and you come back with a pig over your shoulder.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's
Absolutely.
maybe something you do outside.
So-
Do you have any hobbies or like things outside this that people might surprise people? Any guilty pleasures?
Yes, and people might already know this one, but I have a huge knife collection. I have about 300 knives.
Knives. Okay.
Yeah, knives. So different style of knives.
Yeah.
Mainly production knives.
Okay.
But some custom-made knives. All sorts of knives. Daggers, utility knives.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I have about...
Do you do like knife spinning and stuff with them, or you just have them to look at, or you have a throwing board?
I have these beautiful glass displays.
Okay.
Yeah, the closest thing I could describe them to is like if you go into a jewelry shop and you're looking.
Oh, yes, so it's like a museum of knives at your house.
So
Okay.
I have them in my.
So if someone broke in, they might be a bit worried about whose house it was.
So I was lucky enough to convince my wife to put them in my living room.
Okay.
So there's these big glass cabinets, and you can go through and you can look at my knife collection, which is about 300 knives at the moment.
300 in the living room.
In the living room.
Wow, okay,
And these
yeah.
display cabinets that look like jewelry display cabinets.
Yeah.
And they just sit there and I admire them.
Okay.
I think not many people know that.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. You know, I actually have a sword collection at home.
Oh wow.
So I have like samurai, katana,
very
all of
cool.
those. They're not in like glass
Yeah,
frames
yeah.
or anything like that. They do have
Yeah.
like a little holder. I try to
Yeah.
like spin them around a little bit.
Yeah. But don't you think, I don't know, there's something empowering about holding a very sharp
Yeah.
knife and blade. It just feels good.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
It's kind of cool, and it's good to hold something
Yeah.
and it makes you feel powerful.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, if there was a swear jar and you had to donate $20 to walk without fear every time you swore,
Yeah.
how much do you reckon you would have raised during these training camps for this UFC?
I'm not a prolific swearer, but
Okay.
I wouldn't be that much. But I will use swear words when I need to.
Okay.
I've got a mum, a very Christian lady, and every
Okay.
time I swear, when I grew up, I was like, she came down on me straight away. So that's helped me as an adult.
Okay. So maybe you should put one in the gym for everyone. And you can raise
For
it.
everyone, but I would probably swear like 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay.
I reckon.
3 or 4. I'm going to fact check this when I go guys and see.
Yeah.
Because I think once I was sparring with Brad Riddell, and he told me that I had good grip for a tard, is what he said. And they said that he probably got this from you, the type of coaching I'm telling you.
Okay, so you're talking about something different.
Different to swearing, more.
Different to swearing.
Okay.
So in terms of insulting people,
Yeah, you're more creative with your insults than using swear words.
that's
okay.
all I do.
Okay.
That's
so
all I
what
do.
would you?
That's what we call, like in our country, bantering.
Okay, yeah.
So I would tell someone something in a joking way, what I think of them, and how inefficient they are at something
Yeah.
that
So
they're
you just be
doing.
creative with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
I like
yes.
that.
Calling them retard or calling them a spastic and things
Yeah.
like that.
So that's maybe you need a jar for that.
I need a jar for that. That'll be
Okay.
full because that's basically all I do.
I saw you baiting out. Who was it over there that saw you like he's old? You're telling someone else. Yeah. So
Things like that.
get them in the gut with things. I think.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Aussie and New Zealand banter at its finest.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Awesome.
Do you want to let people know where they can donate to Walk Without Fear, or how they can get involved, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a big raffle going on now for a beautiful BMW M4 CSL, which is a very high-end sports car. And if you go to walkwithoutfeartrust.org, you can buy a ticket. It's only $50, and you might win that car. Bear in mind that you can only win that if you live in New Zealand. Outside of New Zealand, you can go to the same website, walkwithoutfeartrust.org, and you can make a donation.
Okay, amazing.
And I would love your support because we need it badly.
Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you, and all the best for your retreats.
Thank
They sound
you.
really
Yeah, coming
awesome.
up very soon. We have 3 in a row, so it's
wicked.
going to be interesting.
Awesome.